I'm going to jump right into this. I'll try to be concise because I have to get to class. First of all, my definition of naturalism is such that, or I even go so far as saying scientific naturalism. I'll first start off with my definition of naturalism is such that everyone is a naturalist. I don't see how someone cannot be a naturalist by the way that I'm looking at this definition. And by my definition of scientific naturalism, I can say that it is such that everyone should be a scientific naturalist. And I'll say why. Firstly, I've heard some people making this argument before. I mean, it is a very obvious thing, and so that's why it might be somewhat cliche of me saying it, but things that are. Things that aren't are not. So there's no really saying that there's some kind of separation between the natural or the metaphysical. Or these are all distinctions that people make between on the one hand, if one person holds on to notions of the metaphysical or the supernatural and the natural, these are ways that they categorize things that exist in their image of the world. These are all things that are. However, in someone who holds, let's say, the belief that only the natural exists and the metaphysical doesn't exist, and the whatever doesn't exist, or curiously enough, perhaps someone who thinks that only the metaphysical exists and nothing natural exists. These different things aren't a way of categorizing the things that are. These are ways of categorizing the things that I believe in that exist and the things that other people believe in that don't exist. So they're either a way of categorization or a way of I guess, representing something that you disagree with. Because in reality, everything can only be natural. I think natural is a kind of tautological word. It's a kind of it's a redundant word. I mean, no, there are. I'm pretty sure there are useful ways of using it that I'm just not thinking of right now. For just this point that I want to get across. But in terms of what I'm talking about now, naturalism is natural is just, it's a given. Things originate in real circumstances. Real things originate in real circumstances, and they arise through a series of events that are consistent with the way that those things within the universe, within whatever verse, whatever real reality we're talking about, whatever existing reality we're talking about, works. It's everything comes about naturally. If a God exists, then heaven is not, or whatever place, whatever thing that goes along with this God, all of that is in the natural. None of it is supernatural. It is all part of the system of reality, of things that exist. And now this is where I have to make a distinction between naturalism and what I'm viewing as scientific naturalism. To me, scientific naturalism has to do with using reason, and using evidence. Obviously analyzing evidence with reason, and coming to conclusions based on a reasonable doubt, to determine what we can safely say is real, and I wouldn't even say we, I'd say what the individual who is a scientific naturalist can determine is real and not real in their image of the world, because we all have to admit that we are not aware of everything that is real, and that what we're reasoning about is what we're determining. We're not determining what exists and what doesn't exist. What exists and what doesn't exist doesn't exist. What we are determining is what our view, what our image of the world should be, what our image of reality should be. And that's where we make these decisions based off of evidence and the reason that we use to analyze and come to some kind of conclusion. Now, what I said before about how everyone should be a scientific naturalist by definition, and how and perhaps it makes little sense for someone to not be to say that they're not a scientific naturalist, is that who doesn't think that? Is there really someone who will say truthfully that they do not apply, they don't use reason, and that they don't use reasonable doubt, and that they don't rely on evidence? The last time I checked, we all apply our own. We all apply thought to our environment, our stimuli, the things that we sense. We all apply thought to them and come to decisions based off of those thoughts. Now, one person can pass judgment on another and say that their way of thinking is skewed, but no one will, in and of themselves, admit that their own way. Well, maybe, obviously there will be some people, some eccentric people that will, but most people, I don't think, will say that my way of thinking is skewed. I do not apply reason to evidence, or I ignore evidence, and so my view is not a scientifically naturalistic view. I think everyone will, given the definition that I'm coming across with, will determine themselves as being a scientific naturalist. Now, obviously, there are ways of there are things that we should do. There are campaigns of awareness. There's education. There's discussion in which we try to, as a group, come to a consensus about what is a reasonable way of coming to conclusions. What is a reasonable way of looking at evidence, of thinking about it, and coming to some kind of decision about what we should put into our image of the world and what we shouldn't. And those are important because one moment. Sorry. Okay. There are ways. No. Okay. So that's important because obviously we live in a society, and in, I guess, empirical terms, we live in the same. We presumably all live in the same reality. We can safely say that, and helping each other. Helping each other with their access to the world, and also helping each other sensibly and, you know, with an increased sensibility, interact with it and make decisions, is a good effort. I think it's for the benefit of everyone. So, trying to remember the direction that I was taking this, but I guess that's all I'll say for now, so that I don't waste any of your time rambling. I'm glad that my microphone is working this time, because I did make quite a lengthy enough video yesterday in response to TJ's. I don't even remember what we were talking about. Oh yeah, it was about why people fixate on issues that are non-issues compared to other issues. And I don't know. I think I'll remake that video sometime. Not right now. I'm not in the mood of repeating myself. So that's it. Maybe I'll remember some other thing that I forgot to say in this video, which I most likely did. And